bet she is.
5:30, let's go ahead and start our meeting. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Eastman,
Here.
Commissioner Ganger,
Here.
Commissioner Yukovich, Commissioner Well,
Here.
Mayor Warren.
Here. If you want to participate in the prayer and the pledge of allegiance, please stand. Dear Heavenly Father, we are meeting today to conduct matters of a business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being a source of guidance today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
I move we approve the agenda.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Awards and proclamations. We have two tonight. The Arbor Day in Arkansas City. I don't think anybody's here tonight for either one of them, so I'm just going to read them right here. On the Arbor Day, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day should be set aside for planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, Arbor Day, first was observed with the plantings of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and is now observed throughout the nation and the whole world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of precious topsoil by the wind and water, cutting and cooling costs, moderate the temperatures, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for the wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source that gives us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in the city increases property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, beautify our community, and are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas Arkansas City has recognized as a Tree City, USA by National Arbor Day Foundation for the 25 years in a row, and so desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now, therefore, I, Jay Warren, Mayor of the City of Arkansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim Friday, April the 26th, 2019 as Arbor Day in the City of Arkansas City, and urge all citizens to support efforts to care for our trees and woodlands, to support our city's community for forestry programs, and plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of both present and future generations. Okay, the next one is the National Prayer. Whereas National Day of Prayer is a tradition first proclaimed by the Continental Congress in 1775, and whereas the United States Congress by joint resolution on April 17, 1952, provided that the President shall set aside and proclaim a suitable day for each year, other than a Sunday, as a National Day of Prayer on which the people of the United States may turn to God in prayer and meditation. And whereas in 1988, legislation setting aside the first Thursday of May each year as a National Day of Prayer was passed unanimously by both houses of the United States Congress and signed by President Ronald Reagan. And whereas the National Day of Prayer is an opportunity for all Americans to join in united prayer to acknowledge our dependence on God, give thanks for blessings received, request healings for wounds endured, and ask God to guide our leaders and bring wholeness to the United States and its citizens. And whereas it's fitting and proper to give thanks to God by observing a day of prayer in the city of Arkansas City, Kansas, when all of our knowledge on our blessings and express gratitude for them while recognizing our dependence on God for our continued blessings and guidance. Now, therefore, I, Jay Warren, Mayor of the City of Arkansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim Thursday, May the 2nd, 2019, as a day of prayer in Arkansas City, and encourage all citizens of the City of Arkansas City to observe this day ways appropriate to importance of her significance.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, recognition of visitors. Okay, not comments from the audience. Ken?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Ken Harder, I live 1313 North First Street. Karen, you wasn't here at the last meeting, so
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna try to go through this pretty quick tonight, because a lot was said at the last meeting, so.
I watched it.
Did you? Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. The city has shut the door on us on Burger King. A lot of study was done at the last commission meeting and discussions. Mr. Mayor, Jay Warren asked Nick a few questions, and it goes back to the Burger King builder in the planning commission meeting when we spoke, and another neighbor in the 1400 block. He said he could move forward with that site without the exit to First Street. Two of the planning commissioners are here tonight. At the April 2nd meeting, they tried to walk it back, and I'm sure they're here to walk it back tonight. That's not what the man said. Anyway, Jay, you asked the city manager. Have you heard that? Was it? Nick denied it. He said he didn't hear that. He hadn't heard that. He's had 3 weeks. That's an untruth. Jay, you asked him if any promises were made, and we was discussing First Street exit and my situation in our neighborhood where we live. And Nick said he wasn't aware of any promises that were made. Here's your minutes of your own meetings, of all the promises that were made to us, just like was given March 12th when Josh gave his presentation on this screen. Same deal as 4 years ago as we was having last month. So, with that said, those promises that were made, I had to come back before the commission, and you're all aware of it, most of you. Canyon wasn't here then. I had to argue my point with Mr. Chad Giles. We did get a little tiny raised median that was promised to us. That wasn't what we were supposed to have. We finally got signage. Can't enforce it. Okay, you're all aware of that. That's old news. Maybe what you don't know is that Mr. Giles, because I'd asked, well, if you got to have that gate, he kept saying, the builder, call engineering. I have his card right here. He said, we need that for delivery for the truck. So I said, put a gate in. Open it when the truck comes. That store has that back door open 30 minutes before the semi ever comes every week. You know, she's got it ready for it. That was something I thought was workable. So the mayor asked Nick and staff upstairs to go back to this builder and see if we could get a gate. And I was even told by the engineer upstairs, we'll give up the sidewalk. And there was something else, but you know, I can't remember what it was, to offset the cost of the gate so that the builder or the developer wouldn't be out any more money. We'll give something here if we can get the gate. Well, a week went by. I called Nick, hadn't heard anything from him. He said, well, they're not going to go for it. This man gave me his card the night of the zoning appeal board meeting, after the meeting, because we got up and spoke about our concerns on First Street. He said, Ken, if you have any issues, anything, if we can help you, call me. I immediately called him. He said, the city ain't got a hold of us. I ain't heard a word from Nick, from Mr. Brose upstairs. Those were his words. Okay. Move on 10 months later. I had asked for a zoning or a site study because Mr. Brose said they never done a site study. Okay, Jay, you're aware of this. I asked for a site study. Got it on the agenda, had a second reading. And you know, it was voted down. It was $9,000 to do a site study on First Street. We're talking traffic in my neighborhood through First Street. So, about 10 days before that meeting for the vote, and we knew when it was gonna vote, that the commission was gonna address it. I went to the Traveler, and I asked the Traveler if I drafted a short story why we was concerned about First Street traffic and why we wanted a site study done, would they run an article before the commission meeting? You know, they said that'd be great. I said, I got a couple pictures, you can run this little short story, the citizens in our community could be aware. Well, it got down about 2 days before the commission meeting to vote, and they didn't run the article. So I went down and talked to, I believe it was Cody Gristle at that time. He said, Ken, he said, we're not gonna be able to run your article for you. I said, why? You thought you could. We got an ugly threatened truck letter to the Traveler, and they told me they were scared to run the article. They felt that they wouldn't be comfortable to run the article. I wish Dan was here tonight because he's the first person I went to, because I just rode the bicycle ride up from the Traveler and asked Dan at his place of business if he would read this letter. He said, I already know what's in it. I won't read it. I'm not going to read it. I already know what's in it. It shocked me. If they got the letter down to the Traveler, why would everybody up here already know about it? So, he told me, he said, I already know how I'm going to vote. Well, guess what? He didn't even show up that night. It was a 2-2 vote, and there wasn't even 5 on the commission that night. So, Jay, you're the next one I called when I went home and asked you about this ugly truck letter. You was aware of it. You already knew about it. I respect that for you telling me. I won't go any further on what else you told me, but the point is, the commission was aware of this. So my point is, you shut me off down to Traveler. I think there was a pipeline right up to the city. This is what I feel from, so moving on until last month, this kind of fell off after that site study. So we moved on till last month, and then the Burger King issue come up, and I wanted to speak to the planning commission, wanted them to understand what their pain was gonna be like. And one of the families that live there, him and his wife, they were both here, they both spoke. They're not against Burger King, none of us are. We wasn't against the dollar store, none of us. We just don't want the traffic into us. So, all of this said, back in the beginning, staff upstairs showed me a state book about that thick on regulations and rules for laying out city streets. That's Kansas. For communities to have entrances in and out, driveways. They showed me that book. He said, you know, Ken, we can't do what we did in the past because there has to be a certain amount of footage up front on the property, and there has to be a reaction time between the drives. In other words, you can't put a drive right next to one that's already there, it's going in or out. Well, that makes sense to me. That being said, the Donut Palace is right next to the highest traffic situation, and this city pulls the Sonic's name a lot. I feel sorry for the Sonic in a way, because every time there's a traffic deal, you pull the Sonic. Well, that being said, why are those drives like that? And then another thing is with the new business going in, that's going in, the Burger King. Gosh, I hate to call them by name, but it's the Burger King, that's what's going there. That's gonna be right next to Casey's on the north, and the other drive is right next to the Y that lets Kansas Avenue go right, and Kinch's Drive in or out right there. Well, with what engineering and staff told me 4 years ago, I'm shocked at this planning. I don't understand it. But I wanted to speak to you about that this evening. And one other thing, and I believe Dan raised the question at the last meeting, and I thank him for that. Because I had wanted a site study on the 1300 block. I think he asked if there was a site study done, because we're talking exit on the First, was a site study done on First Street to see what the impact would be. Nick was quick to use the site study of KDOT Trans Systems. He pulled that and jumped right in about this study and what it was about. That has nothing to do with First Street. This is Summit Street. So in the paper, they quoted as saying at a later date the city would release the study. So a week ago yesterday, Leslie was kind enough, and I come in and spoke to her. She's always got a smile on her face, and I tell you, that's rewarding every time I come into this city hall for her to smile. But anyway, I asked for that through FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. She was very pleasant, got it for me right away. So I look at this and the scope of the study and the conclusion of the study. I thought, man, that's not the gloom and doom that we've been hearing around town on this study. So that was kind of a shocker to me. Yes, there's concerns up there, but it's not the end of the world like we've kind of been led to. So, that being said, no study on First Street yet after all of this. And then last, I'm going to quit here on you because I probably can't remember everything I'd like to say. The Traveler, and I'm sure somebody's here from the Traveler tonight. I presented to you my tax valuation on First Street. Drove down $18,000 on account of what's in front of me. And that Traveler didn't even pick up on that. I would think the people in the community would want to know what these, even in the future, if any more go in, you're driving property values down in these neighborhoods. You just talked about planting trees to bring the value of your property up. So we're going to build these businesses, which we're not against that. You put a wall up along there that keeps the trash, that keeps the noise, that keeps the visual away from us, and we're just as cozy as we can be. That's all we asked for in the beginning. So I would hope this time that the Traveler would say something about driving down property values. Because this is no BS. This is my property values on where I live. If a person wanted to get a second mortgage on his home and he wanted to remodel and his property value has gone down 20% on account of what's in front of him, it affects him. One other thing I'd like to say, Jay, because you and I have spoke before, I respect your opinion quite a bit, but it's been kind of hard here lately, let me tell you that. These families work for wages. Most of the people in this community work dang hard to accumulate anything. A lot of people can't even accumulate nothing. That's just how it is. But most people will have to do a 30-year mortgage on a piece of property if they can hold out that long to own it. I know I invested my savings when I retired where I'm at to make that place like we wanted it. And I've told you before, we intended on taking our last breath right there. That's not the case today. If we had that closure, like I've spoke to you about, make it look like the wall that's already there, keep the opening on each end so foot traffic can go through there, we're content. But you're going to destroy these people's lives on 1400 block. You're going to impact them real heavy. And one other thing I'd like to say, I promise you this is it. When Nick and his staff drive by there, when the planning commission drive by this new Burger King, and when this commission drives by there, I want it to go off in your head like somebody hit you. Every time. If that goes out on the First Street and is allowed to happen, I don't want you to be able to drive by there without thinking, dang, how many headlights shot into them people's house tonight in their living room while they was sitting there? How many people at Christmas time, Thanksgiving, got the family in and all them cars are coming out? Noise, people. They don't own their neighborhood no more like they do right now. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. Did you have a question for me?
No, I was gonna address the
sorry.
mayor. Thank you. Mayor, last commission meeting, I asked, city manager and staff to get a hold of the representatives of Burger King and find out about that First Street. And, we have heard back from them, and they said it would not work for them to close First Street. So, I got my answer.
Nick, on that study that was done on the Summit Street, that nothing was done on the First Street, was it? I mean, it was just that,
No, that was just the main thoroughfare, is all it was looked at.
what, I still think, it, you know, of course, it was voted down there a year or so ago, but I still think we need to look at that corridor on First Street, because as we go south, you know, probably more and more businesses are gonna continue to buy those houses and, like the dollar store, and then continue going, south there. We, at some point in time, we're gonna have to separate the business from the, you know, from the, housing, you know, that's over in that area.
I can get quotes put together, have some businesses put quotes for engineers to see what a traffic study would be.
Well, you know, we talked about it there a year ago when we voted on it. It was voted down. I still think it, as we go forward, of course, it's not gonna help right now, but still, you know, there's gonna be other people affected as we go south, so.
I'll put together some proposals,
Okay,
send them out.
is the commission in agreement with that, or?
Well,
Yeah.
at this point, it wouldn't hurt to have him take a look.
Okay. The consent agenda, one, approve the April 2nd, 2019 regular meeting minutes as written, and number two, ratify Mayor Jay Warren's appointment of Cody Richardson to the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning. I think, Mel, you want to say something, or you want?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Mel Kuhn, 521 West Kansas Avenue. I was on the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission. I went to 2 meetings and now I'm being removed. The question was why. I was filling an unexpired term of somebody else. I've set in front of you my qualifications and where I've been, what I've done relating to this. Now, during that time on my 2 meetings, I was adversarial on several decisions that were made because I thought they're very poor. One of them was I'll go in reverse order, one was a garage, they wanted to put 1 foot from the property boundary, which is, the city has a 10-foot setback rule, and with it that close, you cannot access your own garage without getting on somebody's other properties, you know, for construction or maintenance, any other purpose. Can't even walk around and cut the grass. I said, well, that's a bad idea, it was passed anyway. I voted against it. The other one was a contractor wanted to extend his house, or extend one of his pieces of property to within 2 foot of the property line, which put it a little more than 8 foot away from the adjoining property. Now, the problem with doing that is the same thing. You cannot access your own property without getting on the neighbor's property for construction or maintenance or anything else. Plus, it was a 2-story building, which even makes the setback more important. It's still a 10-foot setback from the property line. That was tabled because the accessibility for the fire department and hadn't gone from the code commission. So I said, no, don't table it, don't pass it. You just cannot do these things, and that was tabled anyway. The third, the first one, was about the Burger King we're talking about right now. It was apparent that the traffic congestion is already a bad offset intersection was going to be astrolated, and it was going to be a bad idea. Plus First Street. And not only that, but we had a commissioner, former mayor. We had another commissioner, myself, and 2 citizens also spoke against it, and that was also passed. I was the only dissenting vote, so it was 7-1. My question is, am I being removed because I'm combative? Am I being removed because I don't have the knowledge? Why am I being removed from this board? With all I bring to the table, all I do for the community, my involvement with municipalities across the state, I'm not following why I am being removed.
Well, Merrill, you know, you've been on the city commission before, and you've been a mayor and so forth, and it's kind of a mayor decision type thing, and I've, you know, and it's not for you to take it personal. It's not about that. It's just that I just feel like at this point in time that I want to, Cody Richardson, I've known him for a long time. He's been wanting to get on this planning commission for some time. And it's, you know, that term expired, and so therefore I'm going to nominate Cody Richardson as that nominee for the planning commission.
You've got many other expiring terms coming up.
Well,
And you have people that probably shouldn't.
well, then I'd recommend you applying for, again,
If I'm removed, I'm not coming back. This is quite insulting, to tell you the truth.
Why is it insulting to you?
Because it feels like that I'm being removed because I am adversarial to the decisions that were made.
But you're only fulfilling an expired
Well,
term.
regardless, but other people have done, they just continue on.
Why would you feel like it's a punishment if it's an expired
Because I'm
term?
adversarial,
Okay.
When
because
did the
my opinion was much different, and I felt my opinion was more right than the others, way more right, just by the law and the code, which are, I'm an instructor for the NCCER, which is a construction technology and code organization. I know the law, I know the intent of the law, and I know the purpose of the law, and the consequences when you don't follow it, especially in an urban area. The proximity of property to another property is very important. The code is not about you, it's about your neighbor. And we don't take that in consideration just with this Burger King. We're not great having Burger King down, that's fine, but the congestion and the exiting on First Street, they just need to pick up piece of property. The monetary value for the city is not enough to warrant the congestion it's gonna cause. You think that during happy hour, that Sonic's congestion, wait till this place starts up. It's right in front of an intersection. 5 cars get stalled in the intersection and it actually blocks one of their entrance. So you're gonna be stuck with right turn only on the Summit. It's bad enough the way it is, as they're talking about. The laws have changed as far as driveways. And I just, it's a bad decision, and it's gonna manifest itself being worse. Just like moving property too close to a boundary line, you just can't do that. So my experience tells me these things, and I've seen the consequences of doing that. So that's my case.
okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Mel.
I so move we approve the consent agenda as printed.
I'd like to remove item 2 from the consent agenda from the vote, so it's voted on separately.
Well, first we have a motion on the table. So if there's a
Why?
motion on the table, then we have to wait and see if there's a second before we can make another
Second.
motion.
I second
I
it.
thought there was gonna be discussion, okay.
Okay.
Now there's,
Now there's discussion.
well, technically, there's not supposed to be any discussion on a consent agenda item, but we've already allowed it. So now that there's a motion and a second, generally then there's allowed some discussion if the mayor would like to allow it. Although our rule in the past has been
Well, I
no
basically,
discussion at all on consent
I
agenda.
basically said what I said when Mel was up here, so.
Okay.
But you would like to say something, correct?
Mhm.
Well, I wanted it to be voted on separately, but that's fine.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries,
I oppose.
okay. Old business,
Consider second reading of an ordinance modifying municipal code part 2, chapter 14, concerning carbon monoxide alarms, as well as chapter 34, adopting by reference the 2015 International Road Code and amending that code and modifying municipal code to so reflect.
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, we rewrote the code that we would like to bring forward to you, to the intent of where you would like it, so that it would just be on landlords and tenants
one of the things we were concerned about is that we were gonna be having homeowners do this, right? That was one of the things you originally said. So now you're saying it's new construction.
If basically, if this is what the IRC has, given it to everybody, given the location of the carbon monoxide and smoke detection, where it has to be at. And at first, it was gonna be anybody with a new occupancy, like
Right.
if a house is sold, we took that out because a third-party inspector should catch that anyway. And so far as this right here, it would be, say if we have a tenant that has a complaint on a landlord, we go down and inspect it, we find out they don't have carbon monoxide. Well, if their lease started after this, then we could enforce it. If it started before it, then we could not enforce it to them.
Okay. And any additions that are built would be required to have it in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
addition.
Yes, ma'am. And that's in the IRC.
Bobby Wolf, have you looked at this? What do you think about what we're trying to do here? I mean, you're the,
Well, anytime that we can help out life safety, I think it addresses some of the issues that we need, but yet it won't put a lot of people out. I think it's fairly well written, and I think it's a good policy.
Usually, how much do these carbon monoxide alarms cost?
18, 20, 25, it depends on what type of kid. If it's the ones that talk to each other,
So,
it's kind of 40, 45 for them. If it's not, you just wanna have them like outside in one location, you can get them from 18 to $30. You can get the first alerts for around 25.
Okay.
well, I make a motion, we consider the reading of the ordinance on modifying the municipal code, part 2, chapter 14 concerning carbon monoxide alarms, as well as chapter 34 of adopting by reference to 2015 the National Fire Code, amending the code and modifying municipal code to so reflect.
I'll second it.
May I speak?
Sure.
Or any, yeah.
I'm Dottie Smith, 408 South Speed. I've heard no explanation as to what is going to be required when this, if this passes. Will it become an ordinance then, or a demand that they are put in existing homes? Would I have to then put one in my own home? I have a couple of rental houses. Would I be required to put them into my rental houses at this point? Is it only new construction? Is it only when someone buys a property and moves into it? I've heard no details. I don't know what
Mike, go
is
ahead.
actually going on.
What this would cover is, say we go into a residence, a landlord's rental property, for say the gas has been off for over a year, we have to do an inspection on that, or the electric's been off for over a year, we do an inspection. If we notice that there's no carbon monoxide, then we can talk to the landlord and have them install them at that time. We're not gonna
Require them or ask?
require, it would be code.
Will it be code for us to retro it now?
That would be totally up to the landlords. I mean, if you would wanna go ahead and follow code, if you would wanna go ahead and follow code and do it, that would be perfectly fine. The only time that we would enforce it is if we was doing an inspection, and we happen to find it.
So they would not be required in residential?
That's what it's for, residential.
In
It's residential occupied by tenants.
Oh, no,
But-
just, so you're
no.
talking tenant homes, rental
Right.
homes?
just rental homes. Now, if you're doing an addition to a owner-occupied house, then that's where it would fall in the IRC, and in that book, it's already code.
Is this one carbon monoxide, detector for one house, or how does that
Well,
work?
it has to be on the any adjoining room, like a hallway, a bedroom. If a bedroom has a fuel burning appliance in it, or has a bathroom that's connected to it's got a fuel burning appliance for a heater, then that bedroom will have to have it too. But
So it's like smoke detectors. We
just,
now have smoke detectors inside every bedroom, outside every bedroom, we do that everywhere. But a carbon monoxide is only for, gas
yeah, if,
appliance.
it's a total electric house and you don't have an attached garage, you don't have to have one.
But if you have like a gas hot water heater, then one
One
One-
fuel,
filter would do it, one detector would do it.
well, as long as it's out on the adjoining room to the bedroom. You don't have to have them in the bedrooms
Right.
unless you have like a
So
little.
say my gas fuel appliances were in the basement,
Yes, ma'am.
then I'd need just one in the house.
Outside of every bedroom, every adjoining room to a bedroom. In other words, if you have a hallway and all the bedrooms adjoining to that hallway, just one would take care of it. If you have two bedrooms and one hallway and another bedroom and another hallway, you have to have two.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I made a motion. Was there a second?
I did.
Okay, Dwayne made a second on it. Any more discussion?
Dottie, is this something that you've spoken with landlords about? You're in an association, right?
Right, I'm president of the landlords. I'm president of the Arkansas City Landlords Association. We have, the people that are part of our association, the landlords that have smoke detectors inside and outside every bedroom. They have good working locks. We follow everything that should be done. It's never been required to have carbon monoxide detectors before. If it's going to be, then we're going to do it. You're always going to have landlords that are not part of the organization, so we can't monitor them at all, and they're going to do whatever they want to do, and you know that as well as I do. But if this is going to be required, then we will make it part of our requirement, as part of the organization. That's all there is to it. We want the safety of our tenants as much as you do.
Okay,
So,
good, thank you.
Thanks, Dolly. Any other questions? Okay, it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Gingrich?
Yes,
Commissioner Welch?
Yes,
Mayor Warren?
Yes, motion carries. Number 2,
Consider third reading of an ordinance modifying municipal code part 2, chapter 14, concerning contractor licensure, contractor examination, in the building trades board, and modifying municipal code to so reflect.
As per your request, we brought this before the trades board, had an in-depth discussion over this, and it was passed unanimously on the trades board for the licensing. What is in the yellow is what Andrew has changed and Tammy gone over to, and I've read over it, looks very well. Very good.
so for clarification,
Yes, ma'am.
if they have a license through another entity that is similar to yours and requires a lot of the same, but they do not have a license through your entity, you're saying that you're going to question them or look at their work or however you're going to demonstrate, however they're gonna demonstrate that they have the knowledge and wherewithal to do the job.
If they're, say, an electrical company or a plumbing company or wherever, from another city that they don't have a license for at this moment, I would get ahold of that building official or code official and get documentation from them to find out what type of work they did, how they did it, if they had any problems with it. If there was one problem with that company, they would not get it.
Okay, and there was a little bit of confusion when this was first brought up because they thought it was a one-time permit, but the city attorney stated it is not a one-time, that if you deem them qualified, they would be able to carry and do business here multiple times.
If they have a license from another city or
Right,
municipality
that's
or
what,
state.
yeah, that's the subject we're on right now.
Yeah.
Another city or another state, yes, ma'am.
And then if you had someone who didn't have a license, but proved to you they could do the work and was not licensed from anywhere else, they would could get a one-time permit, is that correct?
This would be underneath, to where if they had a degree, such as engineering, architectural, something like that, showing that they do have the knowledge to do it. If somebody, it does come up, the way it's written right now, if they can prove to me that they do have the knowledge to do it, and then I could go ahead and let them have a license
But it'd just be a one-time deal.
Just one time.
Yeah.
One time, okay, I just wanna,
And here again, I would double check their references.
I was
too.
gonna say,
Yeah.
closely monitored.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
monitor very closely.
cause I just wanna make sure that we're making it as we said. Okay,
Okay, I'll make a motion, we consider a third reading of the ordinance modifying the municipal code, part 2, chapter 14 concerning the contractor's license, contractor's examination, the building trades board, and modifying the municipal code to so reflect.
I second it.
Is there any other discussion on it?
you
No.
did say it passed unanimously.
It passed unanimously. The only concern the trades board had was that it would put more liability on me, which as long as I don't have any kind of intent, then, I won't have no problem with it. And like the Tamara's gone over, it, sorry, Mrs. Niles has gone over it very, very closely. I feel 100% of the way she wrote it up.
Okay,
That's good.
Any other
And
questions?
Andy, sorry.
Have no questions.
If not, it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Eastman,
Yes.
Commissioner Gainer,
yes,
Commissioner Welch,
Yes,
Mayor Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
thanks, Mayor.
New business number 1.
Consider a resolution authorizing the city to purchase two 2019 Kubota mowers, from Wichita Tractor Company of Wichita for an amount not to exceed $36,235.90.
Excuse me, Public Works combined forces with parks and facilities. They had a need for a new 72-inch mower and we did too. So we were able to get a better deal, quotes for 2 mowers. And Wichita Tractor Company came in with a low bid. We received 3 bids and made a low bid.
And the purpose of these mowers?
We will be using our stormwater for the levee, maintaining the levee, and then Tony will use his parks and facilities for the parks and facilities.
Plus you still have one, these are on schedule, correct? Scheduled
Right,
replacements?
Right. They're on our equipment replacement plan, or
Get hurt.
Mayor,
um,
I move that we authorize the city of Arc City to purchase 2 Kubota F2690 72-inch mowers from the Wichita Tractor Company of Wichita
Each
for a
one
total
has-
amount not to exceed $36,235.90.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's moved and second.
May I speak, Mayor?
Sure.
Brandon Every, 19 Pin Oak. I didn't come here to talk about mowers tonight, but I was just reading this while I was listening to the audience members speak, but it looked like the bid was $277 less to buy it out of Wichita than we did this. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I don't know where we get these mowers serviced
Cali
at,
County.
or we buy our
In
parts
Cali.
from, but
Oh.
$277 per mower, probably worth keeping in Cali County. Don't know. You got any,
we have really not had a lot of success with Smith & Sons,
okay?
but we have with Wichita Tractor,
There you go.
both parks and facilities in the street.
Yep.
So that's why we went with them.
That's fine.
I realize buy local is the way to go, but we're looking at the service also.
Did that answer your question? Okay. Okay, is there any other discussion on it? If not, it's a voice vote. Voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
oh, that's good.
Number 2.
This is the first reading of an ordinance accepting the application of KSA 41-719C to allow the consumption of alcoholic liquor at a designated area of Wilson Park during Taco Lala on Saturday, May 4th, 2019.
What? What?
Taco Lala.
Bless you,
Lala.
bless you.
Bless you.
Andrew, do you want to talk about it before I make a motion? Since I'm on the committee.
Okay, this is significantly more restricted than the beer gardens that have approved in the past for Wilson Park. Typically, they've encompassed the rotunda, and they've had concerts. This will not be that expanded. Mainly, it's a first-year event. We don't know what the turnout's gonna be like. But also, we were not able to get any assistance from Cali Student Patrol like we were hoping, who could have provided the security security, which is what typically occurs at those concert events. That day is graduation for Cali College. So we're gonna have to rely on volunteers to assist with security, and as a result, we wanted to keep the area as small as possible, and not, create any unneeded issues. So in discussing it with Matt, he said he's pretty comfortable with this. This would essentially be like the Ben Givens, beer garden at Ocala, just in Wilson Park, but similar sizing and, restrictions. The ordinance in front of you does not, specify a requirement for wristbands, but Matt can answer some questions, but he said he'd probably do the wristbands anyway. Just helps with monitoring and, ease of reentry. But our intent is to have a minimum of 2 volunteers on the gate. We're gonna have 3-hour shifts. The beer garden hours are from 4 to 10 p.m., so 6 hours total. We do have 1 or 2 volunteers that actually have a background in private security, so that'll be helpful. But their main task will be to, check IDs just to make sure there's no minor IDs getting in. They'll still check IDs at the bar and check for fakes, but mainly to make sure nobody walks out with any alcohol. Tends to keep this, restrained and fun for everyone, but it is something that very early on in the event development that they wanted to see this option for people to come in. Thought it would help with attendance and just the overall atmosphere, but you'll still have to consume the alcohol within the actual boundaries as designated there, and then dispose of it before leaving to go get food or whatever. So our vendors for food are going to be concentrated in probably the northeast corner of the tennis courts there. We can accommodate up to 5 vendors of electricity. We may have a couple others spread out through that area. So that'll be sort of the area where that's occurring. And then the rotunda will just be open for anyone to come and eat in, and there will be a DJ going on during the afternoon as well. Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
What's that?
Did you have anything you want to add?
No, I think I covered everything.
Bottle service will be doing it. We've had no problems with them in the past at Alcoa events. They're very experienced at this, and we're very grateful for their expertise.
Man, I got a couple of questions. You wanna come up here? Is this just be beer only, or gonna be beer and wine?
Beer, wine, and margaritas, as I understand.
Okay.
One of the concerns I have was in regards to the Ben Givens Park situation. We did have individuals under the 21 inside that area, and so we want to ensure that there is no one under 21 allowed inside the area, because that did become an issue with Ben Givens during Arcala.
Yeah, one of the things that was specifically asked of the commission was, can we have people under 21? And we said no. Yet, repeatedly, they had youth in there, kids in strollers, teenagers, inside the alcohol area.
Well, I haven't been made aware of any outstanding issues on that. We did notice a few, but afterward, we try and get them out there as quick as we could. But, I mean, yeah, we can make sure that nobody under 21.
The ordinance is written that you must be 21 to enter, and that's why we want to have the volunteers on the gate to try to restrict it. I also think in his defense, that is a 4-day event spread out throughout the entire day. It's probably a bit difficult to monitor everyone coming in. This is going to be a very focused 4-hour or 6-hour period. We're going to have people dedicated specifically to checking. So I was aware of the concerns, so I, from the very beginning, talked to people about it. So we were absolutely going to keep that from happening. One advantage is we've got a giant chain link fence all around the south part of it there. We've got the drop chain that's there at the entrance, and we'll do the snow fencing. So there really is only going to be a point of entry there along by the sidewalk going to these tennis courts. And somewhere in there will be the bar. So I think it'll be a lot easier to contain it and keep eyes on it, but we'll be monitoring that very closely.
I'm not wanting to put a wrench in this, but what if a young couple comes up, they've got a baby in a stroller or in a carrier? Are we actually going to tell them they can't come in with that baby?
Yep, they're gonna have to take turns.
That's always been an issue, but yeah.
It has to be that way.
Rules, that's what we have to do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Tamara, I have a question. Chances are I'll be selling wine to them, so therefore I'm not gonna vote on this year because I think it's conflict of interest, so
Yes.
I'll have to have the vice mayor handle this one.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Do I hear a motion?
I so move that we exempt the application of KSA 41-719C to allow the consumption of alcoholic liquor at a designated area of Wilson Park during Tacolala on Saturday, May 4th, 2019.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
It's roll call,
Oh, roll
please.
call vote, go ahead. Leslie?
Commissioner Eastman?
Yes.
Commissioner Gainer?
Yes.
Commissioner Welch?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
I can't vote.
Oh, that's right, sorry.
Abstaining.
Abstaining.
I didn't see roll call.
That's okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I've done that too, so.
number 3,
Consider a resolution authorizing the city to enter into consultant client agreement with DG Consultants of Hutchinson for an amount not to exceed $108,157.
We went out with a request for qualification for bidding to be our program manager for the wastewater treatment plant improvement project. They will be our owner's representative, our experts to represent the city. We sent, as I said, we sent out 20, we received 2, and we interviewed both, we did the selection committee, and we selected BG Consultants to be our program manager.
What made them qualified?
But, well, there's several categories: past experience, their expertise, their qualifications in doing the job, reference checks we did on them.
Yeah, and
Highly recommend
I
it.
actually work with BG Consultants and had a few meetings with them back Osage City years ago, and very familiar with their work and their quality. And I've heard nothing but good things about BG, so they're
And
very
the projects
reputable.
they've overseen is what we want.
Yeah, and the project that they working with the city of Emporia through their process, which is very similar to what we're looking at doing. So, we're fortunate to have an engineering firm that's willing to help us through the process rather than trying to sell us a process.
Oh, okay.
Because so often you get the engineering firms will come here, potentially they'll lowball you a project and hope that you pick them and then you pay for it in the long run. But having an owner's representative through this process, I think is gonna be very beneficial to the city. Daniel, you have anything Daniel Monaco with, I believe that's your name, correct?
Yes.
With, BG Consultants is here to answer any questions of the commission.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. I appreciate that question as well. We have done several of these projects in regards to working with the client manager, working with the city on, as your representative.
what cities have you worked with before?
We have done 3 of them with the city of Edgerton. We've done wastewater treatment plant, we've done a major thoroughfare, and then another project with our intermodal. We're just finishing up a $30 million one with the city of Emporia, that they did a complete renovation of the wastewater treatment plant. And we've also done other smaller ones, more on some of the design build components. But what we are your representatives. We will be looking at bringing in a design build team that would be selected, and the process that we'll work with the city on is where we're going. I would mention one thing: the agreement that was sent has 7 phases. The fees that are associated with that are from phase 1 through 4. And that's only because phase 5 is, we don't know what we're doing yet, and we're gonna assist you through that design process with, we're gonna be your partner throughout that whole process. And then there would be construction observation of if those projects move forward.
Okay.
So you'll be
Okay.
with us whenever we decide, when we're deciding what would be best
Yes, sir.
and the most economical for us to,
Yeah.
Making recommendations.
Yeah, we will provide internal recommendations to the city regarding what is presented to you by your DVT.
Okay.
That's
So,
our job.
okay, so I'd like to make a resolution authorizing the city of Arkansas City to enter into a consultant-client agreement with BG Consultants, Inc. of Hutchinson for an amount not to exceed $108,157.
I'll second that, but I got one more question. How many people's employed with you guys, or how big is your company? Or
We have about 85
Uh-huh.
total. I'm actually the office manager out of Manhattan. That's our corporate office. Your client manager that will be on this job is Bruce Metzger. He's our office manager out of Emporia.
Okay.
Then we do have Hutchison and we have Lawrence.
How many engineers do you have in?
25.
Okay.
Probably.
Wow.
We have over 40 total professionals, so we also have architecture. Our firm, we have MEP engineers, we have architecture, so we can really, structural, we have all the.
So my question to you is that everybody's involved, it's like, you know, if we approve this tonight, then you'll use everybody on your.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, we utilize expertise throughout our company
Okay.
in specific areas.
okay.
I would be the project manager throughout, and then Bruce as well would be, the two faces you would see would be mine and Bruce's typically.
Okay.
And what's your name again?
Thaniel Monaco, TH, it's just like Nathaniel, just no.
Thaniel.
Yes. And then Monaco, MONACO.
Okay. Thank you.
All I know is we're gonna have every single engineering firm beating down our door for this project, I have a feeling. So it'll be good having someone to help us weed through all the different proposals, and being a design build type project, we have to make sure that we really watch everything very closely. And that's what the expertise that BG brings to the table, because it is easy to get lost in the weeds pretty quick.
One other thing I would add, the initial plan is probably to utilize KDHE SRF funding for this. That is a requirement within a design build.
Okay.
Several years ago, the state said, wait a minute, the city, you do have some expertise here, but the city needs to have somebody looking out for them as well, so they're not railroaded through, and I hate using that term, but so it is a requirement, hopefully, of what the plan is.
Now, they're doing a lot longer term funding now, aren't they? I mean, you know, I think it's.
They're talking about it. They haven't officially approved it yet, but they're talking 30-year, potentially even 40-year, but I bet you they end up settling at 30 years is what they'll do.
How soon will that be? Who
Don't
knows?
know.
Don't know.
You know, I will tell you this, I've done, I don't know, multiple dozens of SRFs. There's always an amendment process through that, and we've modified the payback periods, the amounts, we front load, back load. So if and when that comes, there would be an opportunity to look at that. The important piece would be working with you throughout this process to understand when that's coming, how it affects your rates, those types of things.
Okay.
Nick, is this kind of what we talked about, the retreat?
Yep.
That plan? Okay.
Thank
I
you,
thought
sir.
it was. Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
No.
No, it's a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Number 4.
Compass Point Addition Design and Construction Engineering Services Resolutions, there are 4,
Okay.
which would require separate votes.
Okay, these, like Leslie was saying, there's 4 separate agreements here because they're special assessed towards the property, these fees are. And these are for the initial design fees, basically, for each one of these items. And so, $6,600 for the water line, on-site sanitary sewers, $11,500 for engineering. It was $8,400 for the off-site sanitary sewer, and then $29,750. That included the bid documents, bid process, everything for this project. Number 5 is actually the result of that bidding process as far as A, B, and C goes. And the price for sewer, both on-site and off-site, and also the water line infrastructure came to $309,000. The engineer's estimate was $370,000 for that project. And Meese Construction will be doing the work. Meese is actually already here in town, and they're doing our other housing development down south. So basically, they're going to roll off this one and roll right up into this one. So saved us some cost by being able to do that. But
Now, all, on this A through D, all this funding is through that grant that we got, or?
well, we have $400,000 to offset all of our costs,
Right.
and then the rest, with the exception of the off-site sewer, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in number 5. But off-site sewer split 50-50.
Okay.
So 50% of the cost will be city at large. 50% of the cost is actually the developer's cost. It will be special assessed towards property.
Okay. Well, let's start with 1. Consider,
One.
do you want to see something?
No, I said A.
Yeah, or A, I mean. Consider a resolution authorizing the city of Arkansas City to enter a contract with K.E. Miller Engineering's PA in Wichita for design and construction engineering service for a water line project to serve Campus Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $6,600.
Second it.
Okay, any discussion on that one? If not, it's voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. B, consider a resolution authorizing the city of Arkansas City to enter a contract with K.E. Miller Engineering, PA of Wichita for design and construction engineering service for an on-site sanitary sewer project to serve Compass Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $11,500.
Second.
Okay, been moved second. Any discussion on that one? If not, it's a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
C, consider a resolution authorizing the city of Arkansas City to enter a contract with K.E. Miller Engineering, PA of Wichita for design and construction engineering services for off-site sanitary sewer project to serve Compass Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $8,400.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that one?
The on-site and the off-site, what is the difference between those two?
The property line. So on-site is actually in the project area. Off-site is actually going to be going across Ark City Industry property and connecting back up with the Forest Glen
Okay.
sewer line just to the west of the actual Forest Glen housing addition.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, it's a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. D, consider a resolution authorizing the city of Arkansas City to enter into a contract with K.E. Miller Engineering, PA of Wichita for design and construction engineering service for the asphalt and road project to serve Compass Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $29,750.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved to second. Any discussion on that one?
No.
If not, it's voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 5.
Consider for approval the bid received by Meese Construction of Wichita to construct water and sewer lines on-site and off-site for Compass Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $309,163.
We received 3 bids on this project from Meese Construction, Nowak Construction, McCullough. McCullough's actually doing the work right now for Creekstone. The bid we received from Meese Construction for the water, for the for the water items was $82,750. For off-site sewer, it was $96,967, of which we'll pay half. Sanitary sewer items on-site is $129,446, and for a total of $309,163.
And our half's been coming from where?
Our half will be coming from the sewer fund is where our half will be coming from.
Okay.
I so move that we consider for approval the bid received by Meese Construction of Wichita to construct water and sewer lines on-site and off-site for Compass Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $309,163.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any more discussion on it? If not, it's a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 6.
Consider resolution authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Smith & Oaks to provide construction, administration, and inspection services for street improvements, on-site sanitary sewer, off-site sanitary sewer, and water lines serving Compass Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $65,800.
So this is basically for 90 days worth of inspection, also construction staking for the project. The initial design was actually done by K.E. Miller. This is actually for the construction phase services, which is, like I said, 90 days. It is a not to exceed number, so if they have less working days, of course, we won't reach that total, but the amount, to be approved is $65,800.
So what's that, Smith and Oaks, what's that all entail? Just all the surveying and?
They inspect to make sure that's done, according to plans, make sure that the water line is to city standard, make sure that that it's installed properly, and to make sure the sewer is installed properly, just to make sure that once those public utilities are actually transferred over to the city, that they are done according to standards. And that they didn't try to take any shortcuts anywhere. It's kind of an insurance policy is really what it is.
Okay.
And the inspector they'll have on this job is a retired KDOT area engineer or area inspector. And so he was hired recently by Smith and Oaks, and he'll be the inspector on the project.
Okay.
And we move, we consider a resolution authorizing the City of Arkansas City to enter into a contract with Smith and Oaks Incorporated to provide construction, administration, and inspection services for street improvements, on-site sanitary sewer, off-site sanitary sewer, and water lines serving Compass Point Addition for an amount not to exceed $65,800.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Canyon, do you have any questions on it?
No, I don't, thank you.
Okay. If not, it's a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 8, city manager updates.
Okay, next quarterly Cali County Service Alliance meeting is Thursday, April 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be at the Senior Citizen Center. 2019 Outstanding Student Awards Banquet finalist will be at 6:30 on Monday. You're welcome to bring a guest.
Monday.
I assume all you'll be there, correct?
This coming Monday.
This coming up Monday, 6:30.
It's going to be in the
Right room at the
Right.
Brown Center. Yes.
who's going to be the speaker this year?
John Sturd speaking?
Oh,
Great.
good, cool.
That'll be
What
good.
time?
6:30. And bring a guest, please. Cali County Health and Safety Fair is on April 27th from 9 a.m. till noon. And it'll be at the Agribusiness Building this year. April 28th from 1 to 3 will be Monarchs and Milkweed. It's basically an event to try to encourage individuals to plant milkweed for the monarch butterflies, and it's in partnership with the Beautification Tree Advisory Board, Cali County Conservation District, Cali County Farm Bureau, and K-State Research Extension Office and Chamber of Commerce. And that'll be located at the Burford Theater.
What time is that?
From 1 to 3, Saturday, April 28th.
Okay.
The next city commission meeting will be Friday, May 3rd at noon. The presentation at the time is going to be the recycling app and the junior high students will be here to present their app for the trailers.
Okay, that's a work session or
Work session,
May 3rd?
yes, noon Friday, May 3rd. Takalala's May 4th from 10 to 10. The Salsa Fest starts first thing and then transitions over 10 to 2, and then from there on there'll be food trucks and mariachi band, and
All of our food vendors are gonna be open all day. The outdoor market will be open all day, I believe. So, something going on.
so please come down there. That evening also, Cali College graduation that evening, and also the fundraising event for Habitat for Humanities that evening too. So I'll be at the fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity in the evening anyway. City Commission study session, we have one scheduled for noon Friday, May 17th, and it conflicts with the Board of Trustees meeting, so we're requesting we move that to noon Friday, May 24th
Okay.
instead of
It's okay
17th.
with me.
Okay,
You're gonna have to text.
we'll do that resolution on May 7th to get that changed.
What trustees meeting?
Hospital.
Hospital.
Your other hat.
I know, but that's always the last.
It will be.
The third Friday before the,
Oh, okay.
Fourth Thursday, the 23rd.
Okay,
It's okay, Jay.
May. Okay, we're in May.
schedule.
I'm still in April. Okay.
And sir, that is it.
Andrew, you got a report on the spring cleanup day?
Give it a quick flyer. Easy,
You okay?
easy.
He's very excited.
He is excited.
When he talks about trash, he just gets,
Well, it was a good turnout.
I wouldn't know, I was dragging mine.
Yeah, no, we had a great turnout, and thank you, Dwayne, for coming and joining us. We had two different groups. I didn't really do much with James Fry's group. He knows what he's taking care of, but he had 11 aces and 8 Boy Scouts up on the hill. They completely whitewashed the scripture and cleaned up vegetation, did all that. First off, let me say I'm just happy we had good weather. I think we've been rained out 2-3 years in a row, and the spring ones, so it was nice to be able to get out there and do it. And then Wilson Park, we just had a great mix of people. We had Sue Lancaster's group, had a bunch of people, a bunch of 4-H showed up. Clayton Papan and his daughters were there. Had some of our board members, some high school students, some college students. It was a really nice mix, you know, getting young people together with some of our older citizens and kind of seeing them interact. And of course, we had Mike Bellis there, huge help to help keep things organized. And Brian Williams could not do this without him. Keeping track of all the properties, and he's done a really good job of figuring out which groups have what talents and where they need to go. It makes us a lot more efficient. So from the first time we did this, where we were just wandering around picking up trash, to this, basically getting out and knocking out 17 properties in 3 hours is really impressive, and that's a testament to the work that Brian does before and during. Anyhow, that's all the areas we hit, the red dots. I don't have the parks on here, but we also, Mike cleaned up branches in Winton Park, and Dwayne picked up trash in Wilson Park, as well as these other 15 residential properties. And just some highlights. So that's just some of the e-waste. By far the best e-waste event we've had. And what you don't see here are like 7 or 8 trash cans full of just tube TVs because they can't recycle those. Gareth is working on getting a trailer. He's trying to get some donations for that, where he could actually take those apart and salvage some of the components. But right now there's just nothing we can do but throw them out. But that's the stuff that was salvageable, so that worked out really well for him. Very popular. 234 Stanley Drive, completely did a makeover on this yard, trimmed our branches. That's Brian there at the Clippers. Robin Henderson, one of our beautification board members. Those are all bags of leaves that we raked up. And there's just some of the volunteers in the backyard raking and what they've accomplished. I know that homeowner is disabled, was very appreciative of the help we were able to give her. I think they also, she had some leaves in her garage and they swept them out, and just we've been working for her for about a month. At 925 North 7th, had about 8 or 9 people there. Some of the college students, Robert Cortland came down again with his trailer. We couldn't do this without him. He's a huge help, bringing on his equipment and his helper. And People for People got maybe a little carried away. They did all the branches and they started clipping down trees and stuff, which is not really what we're trying to do, but they knew the owners, so that's fine. That's why we have property waivers. But again, they were very appreciative of the help that they got there. And this is Winton Park, so there's Mike and another volunteer that helped out. Took 3 or 4 truckloads of branches out of there. That's the little park. I don't know if you've ever been down there, but down in Sleep Edition, it's a really nice park.
It is, it's a really nice park.
Really nice equipment. It's just I hope it gets used. So we're slowly getting caught up on the wind damage that we had. There's a bunch of our volunteers at 803 North D Street again. Elderly disabled individuals not able to take care of his yard. Got a lot of leaves raked up and branches picked up. A lot of branches. I mean, that wind that we had come through, a lot of people just haven't been able to deal with the damage from that. There's just some of the collection there. And then we finished the day with the biggest load yet, 714 North Summit. So
South Summit.
South Summit, sorry, thank you. The challenge here, of course, being right there in traffic, trying to get the trailer pulled in and loaded up. So that limited us, and they already had a lot of stuff at the curb. But you'll see, I mean, this is an insane pile of branches. They were down there for like close to an hour, filling that thing up. I even helped a little bit there at the end just to get it done. So I hope they appreciated it because we got a lot of wood out of there. So that's just some of the ones we hit. But Mike must have done 7 or 8 different yards, helping them get the tree branches hauled down the street. And we helped out one went address 715 North Second, pulled out their TV and some other stuff. And, you know, we even had some people
Appreciate
that
this.
asked for help, and we were prepared to go. We showed up, and they'd already hauled it out to the curb themselves. And I'm starting to see a viral effect. Just driving around that day, running water to groups, I saw other people out working in their own yards, and I kind of think maybe the fact that this is starting to gain some momentum, or it was just real nice weather, whichever. But
No, it was nice
I
weather.
hope that it is starting to have an effect of people taking more
Oh, I think
pride
it's,
because they see.
that's true.
their
People
neighbors
see other
taking
people out
benefits.
doing
So,
things and they do it.
You know, thank you again for all you do to support this. We do feed the volunteers, Mom Donuts, and we took a few and get some pizza afterwards. So we appreciate, even though small gestures go a long way. Hope we can continue it again in the fall with Fall Cleanup Day.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Andrew.
Andrew. Anything else?
No, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye.